Hi guys, it's JP, no Kayla, and welcome to my YouTube. It's technically not my YouTube. And welcome back to our Dimelo Cinema Club. I'm JP, as stated before, and with me, as always, is the marvelous Steve Dez and the mindful master of cinema himself, El Dondino. It's gonna be
Gucci.
Gucci. This is definitely not what poor Bo. He did not know that this was not gonna mean Gucci in like less than 3 months after that film came out. Uh, but yeah, it's gonna be more of a free balling review. It's only just the three of us today, so we're gonna see where this talk goes. But we'll kind of keep it normal, I suppose. But right now, we're gonna give into before we go into final thoughts. I'm gonna talk about my pick and why I picked it. Tonight, we're gonna be reviewing Bo Burnham's Eighth Grade from 2018. And why I pick it? Well, eighth, eight, and 2018, right? Kind of fits into the theme here. Also, somewhat regretful. I've been a fan of Bo since I saw him on the YouTube Live back in like I think it was 2010 or something like that. And I've been a fan of his for a while, and I watch his specials, his comedy specials, and it's so great to see him grow as an artist and whatnot. But when I found out that his directorial debut was gonna be eighth grade, I kind of cringed because, as stated before, I'm not a fan of movies that kind of revolve around children, especially those in kind of like the high school area in eighth grade. That's pretty damn close to high school. And that's actually part of the plot and the subject in this film. Is this is a film about this young girl named Kayla in her last week of eighth grade and what she kind of wants and expects from to transition from middle school to high school. And oh my god, first impressions. For people who have already seen it, you already know, but for those who haven't, um, it is definitely cringe. It is, and it is not shy about it. And if you ever had an awkward childhood or just had a hard time, such a genuinely hard time making friends, this is a hard film to watch and a hard sit through. But all in all, like for one, I'm glad that I got to see the film because, to be honest, I thought the cringe was gonna get me, but it was genuine. It wasn't fake. It wasn't overdone, in my opinion. And the film kind of grew on me. And as a first watch, I was surprisingly, uh, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, I had to go through a lot of hurt, but all in all, it's a great film, and we're going to talk about more on that once we get the ball rolling. But I'm going to pass the ball on to Dino. What was your initial thoughts on the film?
Um, First off, I see that eighth is misspelled on the ticker or whatever. So it looks like Steve never got to eighth grade when he misspelled eighth. Just gonna call out it because I'm sure people on the comments are gonna go crazy.
Oh no!
Um, I'm gonna tell you guys, like and subscribe right away. I hadn't seen this movie when it came out. I also, for some reason, thought this movie came out like back in like 2014 or 2013, even. So it was interesting seeing something that just came out like 2018, right? It's more recent. Um, it's good. I don't know if it's just like the headspace I'm in. I wasn't really wanting to watch this movie. I'm also glad. I mean, it's not cringe, but it's very awkward and uncomfortable. Which means it's pretty well acted, right? Like, just the idea of her literally like looking down, like not making eye contact, is pretty spot on, right? Because it could very easily they could have with some of the shots she could still be looking down, but the way the camera was would be focused on her, it could have been kind of like to where she is looking, but instead they decided like, no, we're filming you from the perspective, the point of view of the person you're talking to, and you're just gonna be looking down, right? Kind of that nervousness and all that. So all that just like really well done, right? Really well kind of shot, and just again her acting and all that. But it's like stuff I didn't want to revisit. Not that my middle school or anything was rough, but just like seeing what she was dealing with. Also, I'm just like, I don't want to see that. And then I was like, please don't have sexual assault. Please don't have sexual assault. Like I'm just in the headspace that I'm right now. I'm just like, I can't deal with this right now. So we just skimmed alongside of those moments, and I'm glad I didn't go further. Right, I'm glad, or else. I,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a good movie. It's crazy because I was actually like on my phone at time. Like again, I was watching this like right around siesta time, which I'm like, if I lay down, I'm gonna like fall asleep. But I was like on when it first started, I was like on Instagram just checking something, and she's on Instagram. I'm like, okay, I get it, I'm doing that. But then I was like on IMDb, kind of trying to figure it out. But I had to like force myself, like I'm setting my phone down, and I'm gonna like watch this without checking my phone, without doing anything else. And it's tough, right? Especially if we're doing something that we want to review later. I might be like, who who was that actor? Who was that actress? Are there anything else? But overall thing, the first impression, I've said it so many times. I'm just glad in my childhood, back in my day, like didn't have Instagram, didn't have Facebook. Like the biggest thing, which wasn't even big in Paraguay, was and just ICQ was the thing that was kind of around. And I only knew that because I had a cousin who was like studying in Germany at the time, so it was the only person that I would actually like have a conversation when we had kind of internet or whatever. So I'm just so happy that we didn't have that because it's not really a sidebar. Is it a sidebar? I think it's still part of my first impression. A sidebar is like if I interrupt someone or if I go on a different tangent. This is still an emotional response as my first impression. How dare you, Steve? I'm done. I'm gonna close up. I'm just like so upset right now. I would throw my phone, but I just changed the screen of my phone. So I'm feeling her. I'm gonna mute myself and screw you, Steve.
Oh no! Don't cut to me. You're the one who has to give your final thought. Let's go to Red Tech Master Steve.
By the way, you guys should not miss the headlines. The headlines are the ones that are down here. Always, always read them. Uh, so yeah, so first impressions of the movie. I think first of all, I want to say I wish either Michaela or Naomi will be here, or even Raymond too, or Jason as well. But it's us three, so I guess I'm gonna be the lover of the group because I'm surrounded by a bunch of haters. Actually, I'm gonna say that I really enjoyed this film. It was a fresh perspective. I felt for the first time in a long time, especially this being a movie from 2018, that it felt like like a breath of fresh air because this film was able to capture literally how many kids feel these days. And just like Dino, I also felt glad that I'm like, oh, I'm actually glad that I grew up in an era that you had to talk to kids, like you had to talk to people. It wasn't like I'm on my phone ignoring whoever I want to ignore, you know? And just putting yourself in like her situation and everything. It's quite it's quite the tough existence. And I was feeling bad for the dad too, man, because that dad was trying and doing so much. But yeah, man, it's it's an incredible piece of film. There's so many little nuances, little things that were implemented so brilliantly on this film, and everything seemed like it was timed to almost perfection, just to like capture those moments, even the little moments and the longer moments. That one that I'm sure we're gonna get into, the assault thing, it was meant for everybody to feel uncomfortable from the get go because we all knew where this was sort of heading. And yeah, great film. I enjoyed it a lot. The subject matter, of course, is very elaborate. There's a lot, but I think it's a brilliant film.
Awesome.
I feel attacked. This maybe might be considered a sidebar, but I feel attacked by Steve and that he didn't hear us because I don't think either of us said we didn't like the movie. Because we were like, unlike them, I'm gonna say I really enjoyed the movie.
Wait, let me. Okay, so basically, JP starts saying, "I hate kids," and
Right,
Dino,
which is a
Dino,
valid point, and I
and,
can agree and get
and,
behind that.
and
JP did not say I hate movie. He said I hate kids completely, and he didn't say I hate the movie Kids. He just said kids. So he might be hating kids, but liking Kids the movie, which is also a very crazy movie. So anyway, go Steve.
I'm surprised there's a movie called Kids the Movie.
bro, there's Spy Kids, there's Baby Geniuses, there's Baby Days Out. There's a lot. But and then Dino is out here saying like, "Oh, I didn't want to see that. I was in Instagram. I was in siesta time. This movie sucked, but I had to watch it because we had to discuss it."
There's a difference again of not wanting to watch something because you know what the subject matter is, and maybe it's like I don't want to deal with that right this moment. Versus, I didn't like the
Bro,
movie.
you had a whole week.
Oh, good.
I'm just not in that zone right now where I want to watch this like specific. And I will add though that the we can say like this is what kids relate, but I think a lot of us people and probably even Bo Burnham. I don't know like the background of what this is, but imagine us as young adults or mid-range adults. I don't know how they're broken down or whatever, but the the idea of shifting from that personal interaction to then having to try and figure out how to communicate just over the phone and all that. Like I
But
know after
but
being in a long-term relationship with someone that I had met in college and all that, and we were together for a long time, and then out of college, then it became like, how do you meet people? How do you right like? And that's
but
like all the dating apps and all that were coming out, and I was like, I don't know how to traverse any of that. So I can still definitely relate, a combination of the father and the girl, right? Of them trying to like, how do I interact? But
and
don't
again,
put
what
words
makes
in my mouth, Steve, that saying I didn't like the movie. Okay? Will not stand for it.
you can take it over, JP. I'm done.
Okay. All right. So I guess normally we go into like our three questions, but I'm not sure where to really begin. I guess let's just keep it steady, keep it normal.
Okay, I don't.
Let's just,
I'm not. I'll jump in. I don't know if you
okay.
guys did any research, but what makes this film very brilliant. I don't know if you follow Bo Burnham's career, but I have because he's like about 2 years older than me or something like that.
Yeah.
So I seen his rise, and he started as this awkward kid from Boston that was making YouTube videos, and like the girl, He was making videos thinking maybe that, maybe a couple people would watch it or whatever. But in his case, everything blew up, and I'm sure he was like an awkward kid and he was going through similar emotions. What makes this film very unique and special is the fact that he didn't all of a sudden make a biopic, and cast it like a
Yeah.
kid that looked like him and stuff. He completely did a 180 and made it about today, because it's like the social media and stuff and all the issues that kids face these days. But he made it also from the female perspective. And that's another reason why I would wish Michaela or Naomi or someone like that will be here, because they can talk more about those things.
Yeah, same here. I guess I could kind of give a little bit of how Kayla felt about the movie. She first of all, she it was funny. One of the first things she said was that, "Oh, I feel attacked right now," because the character's name is literally Kayla, and I call her Kayla all the time. But like, yeah, it was so weird, like having to like watch the film with her, because like even though I felt like, oh man, like, like I understand this girl way too much. Like she was like, oh man, I was this fucking girl at times, and this is insane. So man, but it was tough to watch some scenes with Michaela at times, especially regarding the kind of assault scene and the scene with the dad, the very nice scene between her and the father when when they have a little backyard bonfire. Like she got really emotional during that moment, which we all know is a work of fiction because I'm sure Bo hates his dad. So nah, I'm just joshing. But no, it was crazy because like I was in that mindset too because like I knew that like this is kind of how Bo had his start, and I was almost expecting the movie to do a turn where suddenly she got popular and it was suddenly about the YouTube videos. But like you said, it was never about her and the YouTube videos. It's just about her and like her life and like having to deal like it's like the social media stuff. It's more of an instrument. It's not the main genre or the plot. It's just one of many things that this girl had to deal with in her last week in eighth grade. And I'm glad that the film never really brought up if people even watched the videos. For all we know, it was only the one person near the end of the film that said, "Oh yeah, I've seen your videos," but that's all that we know. We don't know who else sees them, or
Yeah,
if
very
if you
very
are aware of them.
quickly, you glance through the camera glances through some of her videos, and some might have like 3 views, other like 0, another like 1. So from like the
Yeah,
shot that
the
they
only the only people that mention it is the kid from the that's doing the
gave
breathing contest with her, and
and the
then
dad.
the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, it almost seems like one of those where the dad's just watching all of them. You know. Um,
yeah, being a supportive dad. I'm not gonna lie. It was at times where I felt like he was. This is my only real fault with the movie. I felt he was too perfect of a human being. And it's like, man, I wish everyone's dad was like him, very understanding, especially since he's the only one in the picture. There is no mom. He's taking care of this kid as much as he can. I mean, at times it's like, you gotta back off a little bit. You're being a little overprotective, but man, that guy, like, what a perfect dad. Like,
I don't
fuck.
think he was a perfect dad, though. I think he was struggling. He had. I don't.
Yeah,
I didn't see him as a perfect dad at all. Like I saw him constantly struggling and trying. So okay. So as a perfect, I think we might be mistaken it. I saw him as a good dad, as in trying to do the right thing, as in trying to connect with his daughter, as in trying to do all the like almost like how do you be a good dad, and you're just reading the chapters. So I think he was
yeah,
trying to do that, but I don't. I just until that very end. I don't. They weren't really connecting on any level. but I think he was trying. Like even as small of a thing as like, I thought you hated bananas, and I'm like, why do you have like 6 bananas in? Is a dad just fucking going through bananas like a monkey? Like that was a lot of bananas to have when it's only two of you and one of you does not like bananas. So
I also wish that he put his shirt on at
I
night.
know that I was like that's what because and you know my dad had some my dad had his undershirt right
Yeah.
like growing up the tank top you know and
Y-
yeah so
You
I
know what's
was like
crazy?
no you always had a shirt on.
You know what's crazy? When Kayla and I were watching the movie, that was one of the one few things that we had a debate about was whether or not it was okay for the dad just to be topless. I was like, no, like I feel like it's a little too much. Like if I was a parent, absolutely not. I would not share that with my children. Like just bare body, like no one needs to see that. Absolutely not. But I guess it's different upbringings, different whatever. I guess it
Well,
depends on what
some of
comfortable
us
you
are a
are
little
with.
prouder of our bodies. So
Yeah. Well, my dad kind of like Homer Simpson. It was like, you know, basically tidy whities and the white undershirt, right? And it was usually like in the mornings or when he would get out of the shower, he would like have his radio on next to the bed and just listen to radio. It was yeah. Even when we had to go out, my mom was like, "Okay, Lucho, preparate, like we're gonna go." It's like, "Yeah, I'm ready." Like I was like, "No, you're in your underwear, listening to radio, laying down." Like, so I totally understand that idea of like, yeah, he's just in his boxer shorts, but yeah, it was the having a shirt, you know. Uh, or undershirt or something, right? Not necessarily having a PJ button up. I will say about Bo that I feel like right when he like blew up, he got signed on by either Comedy Central or some other big network, maybe if I'm not mistaken. Because I was in Chicago, and I feel like there was a little bit of a I don't know if controversy, but there was I knew nothing about him like until like people were kind of talking, and some people like, oh, he's only 19 or what 18 or whatever, or 17, and he's got this like ridiculous deal now, and it's like he's not gonna make it or he's not
Yeah.
gonna do this or that. And I was like, I don't know who, you know, good for him, I say. Like he's
Man.
been able to make it this, you know, something out of it. Um, so I can totally, I see him. I was like, I wonder. He's probably a combination of the girl and Gabe. So I wonder if he ever did archery. What
Oh
a
my
weird
god.
flex! Like, oh! I just have this thing. Like, oh, I got 5 bullseyes in one day. Ah, it's nothing. Like,
Oh god. It
I
was
loved it. I loved it. Like that's when it was coming interesting. I was like, that I want to see. I want to see their relation. I mean, she was
yeah.
super interesting, but I was just like, here we go. I felt very glad that she was kind of finding herself there at the end, you know. So
That flex though, like it was such a I hated that scene because it was like, man, I'm sure I pulled that shit when I was a kid too. Where it's like, oh, oh my fucking drama award. Oh, that's nothing. It's nothing. I didn't know it was there. But how considerate though that he had he had a packet of every flavor for the McNuggets. That's awfully considerate. And I'm sure depending where he got the which McDonald's, that's like what 30 cents per packet. It's a gentleman.
and then the quoting the Rick and Morty also got. I was like, did he just quote Rick and Morty? And that's when I was like, wait, this is just recent because but then it's like Rick and Morty has been around since like 2013. So I mean, it's been a while. That's why.
Yeah, that was also so real. It's like, yeah, I remember like in junior high, like bringing up like shit that I saw on Adult Swim. Like, oh, have you guys ever seen Futurama? And just randomly quoting Futurama. Oh, bad bender. That was a bad bender. Oh my gosh. So I guess let's you guys want to talk about the cast? Like we already talked about her and Gabe and also the father. How you guys felt about the children in this movie? Because I'm not gonna lie, like I said before, I like both actual and fictional children I cannot stand. But I thought it was awfully clever. It's like the use of the cell phone really fucking like started bugging me. But like that this is how kids react now. It's like it was infuriating, but how real it was. Even like the passive aggressiveness, like to use the because they at one point like the scene where uh Kayla is trying to thank the two popular girls and they're just passive aggressively on their phones, like straight up like it's such a like a move of like just straight up ignoring her. Like we all know what they're doing. It's on purpose. Like sure, kids are fucking zombies with their phones now, but it was such a powerful scene for me because it's like, man, like normally you think, oh, that's just kids being kids, but you know that they're using that strictly as like a absolute wall. Like we are better than you. Why the fuck are you even talking to us? Go away. Like, damn, that was a fucking power move on those bratty little girls.
For sure. I thought it was pretty well cast. Yeah, the dad was super interesting. I also, man, the mom of the popular girl wanted to like bone her dad. I was like, oh,
Oh my god.
like,
I
I
I
want I want to see where that went, but
I
went
know.
nowhere.
so did I. I thought that was gonna be a much bigger thing
Yeah,
in the movie because she even does the thing where when she shows up at the pool party and she does the double take like wait is it just fucking you
yeah,
like even the adults who say like oh you're so interesting they don't mean it
yeah.
she
Where's
just
your
wants the
dad?
dad.
So that I mean that I guess also goes to show like how good of a movie it was because it is kind of not red herrings, but it kind of you think it might go a bunch of different ways, right? And everyone might be thinking of their own kind of childhood or just what they were doing in eighth grade. I feel
It,
like for
it,
me, middle school was great, but I had like a core group of friends or whatever at that point. I wasn't kind of later into high school just of like the situation I was in where I was like, oh, okay, I can now see who, kind of the idea of like not necessarily the popular kids, but it was like kids that had a lot of money, right? So that you could kind of tell the difference there. But yeah, I was really lucky. I was like, again, there wasn't all that social uh, drama stuff, and I had a very solid group of friends for sure. But yeah, I thought the dad was well done, and yeah, the girl. Oh my god, she was her not making eye contact was just I can I don't know. It was great. It was really well. I was even thinking like how good would it be? There's so many movies. Kind of, I think Ethan Hawke has done some where it's like I think it's Boy or I forget what the series is where they've done it X amount of years. I would love to see in like I don't know 10 years, maybe they do a movie to kind of follow where she's at, right? So I doubt it would be one of like, okay, the end of her senior year in high school, but maybe it's like her ending college or whatever. And how does she then go into the real world or whatever? So that's the vibe, and that's how like I did enjoy the movie. I was just like, I would like to see her 10 years from now, right? Because it's like, yeah, it looked like she was going into a good like she was kind of I'm ready now for high school. That's why she decided to kind of do um, that new time capsule, but for herself, not for school, not for class, whatever. Just kind of like this one's going to be mine. So I'm like, I'd love to see if Bo is able to come back. And if this was 2018, 10 years from then or a little bit more, and let's see where she's at. and and if the actress is still acting or if she's maybe not acting anymore. But it's like, hey, you want to do a follow up to this? I think it would be super interesting, and especially now with COVID and all that, how would that affect that girl, right?
Oh
How
my
would that
god.
affect, like, she'd be finishing high school, right? No, yes, yeah, she'd be finishing high school and going into college. So what's that like? I mean, do we want to see that, or just like that's also going to be part of her mental scheme growing up? So I
This is
don't know if that
so
really added that much. There wasn't a whole lot of casting because most people, in it were just in like one scene, basically.
it's so crazy like how little time to us 3 to 4 years is, but in like when you're a child, like that's those are stages in life, which I'm sure which is why that whole like the scene with her and that stupid boy in the car is like yes, he's not an adult, but like 3 4 years apart, that's a lot
He has a
for the
car.
two. Yeah.
For again, we didn't have we weren't supposed or allowed, the driving age in Paraguay is 18, not 16. So I know that's a huge thing in the U.S. But that I really even just that scene in the mall when they're talking about like it's like one of the girls, she has a sister who's like 4 years older. And it's like, no, she's the same as us. She just sucks, right? Is what the sister said. Because then they're saying she's 4 years younger. I mean, like, when did you get Snapchat? Or like that was the conversation, and I laughed at that because I was at a LA Galaxy game yesterday, and it's funny because there was a bunch of moms, a bunch of Latina moms sitting behind us, but I was like, and some of them had like 4 kids, but I swear they were like in their early 20s. Like I wanted to, like they seem, not that I'm way older than they are, but they're like seem super young. And then at the very, we were like jacking, joking around the whole game. And then we all did like this group picture at the end. And I was like, yeah, tag us, El Dondino, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, here, you look it up. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, what? I was like, is this Snapchat? And I was like, I don't think I've ever used Snapchat. But I am on there. And I was like, oh, yeah, I signed up for it. Because there was like, I don't know, like a month where like a bunch of people that I knew were on Snapchat, and that's the only way they were posting. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to post on Snapchat. I don't know how any of this shit works. I don't even, So the fact that yesterday I'm like plugging in my Snapchat and not knowing how it works,
Oh
and
man.
I like totally understood like that conversation, like in the mall, like when did you get Snapchat? And then this morning, that girl like also had it on Instagram stories. I don't know how to work Instagram. I love Instagram. I mean, I post all the time, but I don't know how stories work. Because then I was trying to like tag my other friend that was in it. And I was like, and I would tag, and then I was like, oh, let me add a caption, and I would try to add the caption, and I would delete the tag. I don't know how it works. So I
Oh
gave up, and I was like, I'm just gonna post it on my story, whatever that is. And then I see there's still highlights. I don't know what highlights are.
my
So I was very invested in those scenes of trying to figure that out.
oh my gosh. I think I got
I'm like so riled up, guys. I feel like
nothing.
I feel like I feel like Steve drove me home or was gonna drive me home, and he like pulled over and he's been sitting next to me, and I just
So
feel like
going back to the movie, let's talk about
I've
the
been in the movie the whole
You were
time.
just referencing the movie.
let's talk about the social themes that were touched upon in this movie. In this movie, uh, they did a great job showing anxiety and touching that. I haven't seen any movie that I can recall that touches that subject quite like this movie. The whole like semi nude stuff. era that's been going on. Uh, to me, one of my favorite scenes is when she sees that one dude that's like the basketball player or whatever that's like doing he's like playing with gum and doing like or whatever because it just shows you how like dumb, especially when you got like in that age when hormones are just going crazy, you can just literally just like someone that's like really stupid.
It was incredible because like it almost. I literally turned to Kayla because when that scene happened, because like it's very real. Like, oh, he's just a fucking stupid kid. Like they kind of all are. But I was like, where the fuck was this kid during the award ceremony and the fucking pool party? Because the before those scenes, the way that we saw him was like fucking zooming into his eyes and the
No, he
fucking
was at the pool
pop
party.
music. Wait, what?
He was at the pool party though.
Yeah, yeah. But
Well,
like,
that was also very interesting. And again, yeah, like a woman's perspective would have been awesome on that because it is one of those like he's doing the gun, and then the girl next to him, are you staring at so and so? Like he's horrible. Like he
right.
broke up with so and so because she wouldn't send him nudes, and then she's like, "That's my end," you know, like it's so freaking toxic. Again, of just
Yeah,
oh, we're like so separated from that time period, but also again from the social media. But just like yeah, having like Michaela or Naomi or another woman's perspective would have been great because it is like we see it and
yeah,
we see
it's
like yeah, that shit's horrible, that shit's toxic. But like in that mind, with the hormones, with the everything, just kind of like, all right,
man,
gonna bring up. I'm just gonna bring up nudes. I'm just gonna bring a folder of nudes.
right? Oh, it's how she nonchalantly brings it up, as a fucking, bait, for that fucking stupid ass kid. It's crazy because like I couldn't help but think like I never did that shit in junior high, but I was like, wait, no, I mean I didn't, but I know, like, fucking show me yours, show me yours, show you mine was a fucking thing. And, like, it's just crazy because, I feel like back in the day, it was like just fucking moments that just lives in, like, whatever you fucking do. I feel like, oh, it's so much heavier now that, like, people can have videos, pictures, you send it online. You don't know who's going to get that or who's going to be able to get it. Is like, that's like, it just adds a whole new level. It's like, fucking don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, I think I'm a little older than you guys, but yeah, we didn't have camera phones or digital cameras weren't really a thing anyway. But the other thing that got me right, yeah. Oh, I know what you're like. That was her in. You were kind of saying like using that moment. It was also during like active shooter drill, which is just mind blowing. Again, which I thought
Right?
would have been like,
No.
huh?
No, that was another thing. Like,
That
that
whole
freaked me
scene,
out.
wow, that's crazy.
Because
Yeah, because.
and then I'm just thinking, hey, again, just another reason of why not being like a kid,
And
especially
the,
in the U.S.
when they're doing the drills, there's a bunch of kids just on their phone, bro. Like,
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
what?
kind of like, well, going back to the shooter thing, because Kayla and I were only like 3 years apart. And she asked me straight up, like, because I fucking flipped when the teacher had the fake AK and just pa-da-da-da, pa-da-da-da, pa-da-da-da at the drama school kids. And I freaked during that scene. She's like, "You guys never had that?" I was like, "You fucking did." Like, we're not even that much apart, but you fucking did. Like, that's
Yeah. We
crazy.
we uh we so we hey, the let's thank the drama kids. I fucking love that. I was like, I thought, even though there wasn't really a drama. I mean, there wasn't a drama club. I was thinking like, what was I doing in eighth grade? And let me tell you, like, I had to like try and get a theater thing going and like a play. And they picked the two teachers had like, okay, let's do a show. They decided to pick The Diary of Anne Frank for middle schoolers to do. And I was in 8th grade. Everyone else was younger. And they put me as the dad. So as an 8th grader, I was playing Mr. Frank, Anne's father, and all these younger middle schoolers. And then a bunch of them dropped out. So then I had to ask my brother and like his friends to come in and do shows. So like they were already juniors in high school.
Oh,
Then in
dude.
8th grade, I'm the father, and then they're playing other characters. And it
That's
was
hilarious.
so that was me in 8th grade. And of course, we didn't have, and this was in Paraguay, so we didn't have any freaking active shooter drills or anything like that. I don't even think we even did fire drills. It's just like, yeah, you just run out and go wherever. And I'm thinking, like, the only time, and this is something that I brought up before, but like the only times that we would get like school canceled and stuff, it was usually during it was during like a attempted coup or like of overthrowing the government.
Oh my
It'd be
gosh.
like, all right, school's canceled, or we're letting out early, or don't come in, type of shit. Um, but yeah, but it's wild to think that that's what kids have to do. Because I have been at movie theaters, especially if I go to like a midnight showing. The last time that I really thought about it was I went to the Blade Runner, the 2049 or whatever, and it was kind of like started at 11 p.m. or whatever, and I'm sitting there like as it's about to start or maybe when it does start, and I'm like, if a shooter comes in, what do I do, right? And I
Yeah.
guess I was pretty high up, so I was like, do I just jump over the thing? I was like, that's a good 10, 20-foot drop, like into the hallway coming in. But we're like, that's where we're at. And so
That
to think that as kids, you're like,
yeah.
get under the desk. I'm like, I don't know how much that's going to help. That's kind of like when, like, because that made me think of like my parents' age that were during the Cold War. And I was like, they did like bomb drills. And it's like, get on your desk, under your desk. And it's like, under your desk for a bomb drill? Like, I guess. Like a nuclear warhead hits. Yeah, I guess under your desk might help. So anyway, it's interesting looking through history of what people are kind of doing as drills in that time period.
Yeah, it's just fucking sad. Not I, went back when theaters were still a thing, like kind of open. Every time someone came in with a fucking backpack, nope, nope. I would always keep my eyes on them. Oh well. Cause yeah, like shit, like that, and like it's crazy because it is such like not only are we looking into the lives of like today's kids, but like basically like yeah, this is normal day life now. Like God, I like it was so crazy. Like just remember like because I like like the movie is so genuinely made. Because like other films that kind of replicate like it's more like a side joke. It's like all these kids on your shitty phones, hee hee hee. And then the adults trying to be cool and like YOLO, and you see that in the film. One of the fucking teachers does a dab as a joke, and they took it the way that real kids would. They wouldn't give a shit. They're on their phones. They probably half of them didn't even notice. Him trying to do that stupid ass joke.
Okay,
But
so
like,
here's
yeah.
my question. What, because I talked about like my 8th grade, but you guys haven't. My 8th
Um,
grade was either 98, 99. What year was you guys in 8th grade? And like, where were you guys kind of at?
eighth grade for me was like 2004 or something, like 2003, 2004, and like one of the reasons why like this movie like for me was hard to watch was junior high was the fucking worst for me. So everything that like the anxiety and just the struggles that Kayla was going through especially with these younger kids. Like back then, we had phones. Well, we didn't. We had iPods and whatever. We had iTouches and shit like that. So it wasn't as much like immersed into the phone, but it was getting there. Like, MySpace was a thing. Facebook just barely started coming out around that time. So like it was the beginning of that era. Like I think my junior high was that transition of like what a normal childhood was to what will now be the modern childhood. But my God, like that was my junior high because when I was in junior high, the bullies weren't mean to me online. They were mean to me in fucking person. So that was kind of like fucking hell. So, just seeing like just the passive aggressiveness of these kids and some of them like even those who were showing like genuine like an interest in her being kind of like oh wait, is this real or is this not? How should I deal with this? How should I take it? I felt that because when you're isolated long enough or like wronged long enough, you genuinely don't know when someone's being nice to you. And if someone's being nice to you, is it a trick or like, okay, someone's being nice to me? How do I respond back? Because I'm not used to that. So like the scene with her and the high school shadow, and even her and Gabe in the beginning was like, man, that was me plus oh god, like a lot. Just without the phones, those fucking phones, just without that.
And you, Steve?
As far as year, I don't know, but I do remember.
So you don't have an eighth grade uh, education if you can't figure out
I
what.
mean, I'm sure it's close to JP. Me and JP are pretty much similar age. But I do remember at least I went in eighth grade. I was in PR, so
Yeah.
the people that did have phones were people that they have more money and resources. But regardless, the phones weren't like the crazy phones we get now. It was like flip phones and shit like that. And people would use them primarily to like text people and call people. So it wasn't like when you were with people, you just talk to people. It wasn't like, oh, I'm on my phone. Sorry, I can't talk to you. Like that didn't exist. Because yeah, there was MySpace and Facebook and stuff like that, but it was kind of you needed a computer in order to access those
Yeah.
things. It wasn't as intertwined as it is now. That is like on your phone, you get everything now. You can watch Netflix on your phone. So you can watch Oye Dimelo Cinema Club on your phone.
What?
Ew, what? Or
Uh,
that one kid
okay.
in class, he was fucking watching porn in class.
Was he? I was wondering, but I couldn't. I couldn't tell what it was though.
No, he definitely was jerking it in class, and I was like, oh god,
Oh, I thought he was. I thought the one where he had his. He
his
was.
shirt up. Yeah.
I thought he was jerking off to the sex ed video.
That's what I thought too.
I didn't think he was on his own phone. I thought it was just like they're talking sex ed, and he's like jerking off.
Oh no, I saw the cellular light, so I was like, oh god, he's
Uh,
obviously online, which is crazy because I remember even in junior high, there was kids who fucking did that on like the library computers. But once again, that shows like how we were brought up. It was like we didn't have the fucking computers in our pockets. We had to go to the library for it.
jack off.
Oh,
Is that what you're
I,
saying?
I do remember. I do remember back in the day, but this was more. This wasn't middle school. I think it was more high school though. Back in the day, PSPs came out
Yeah.
and the PlayStation Portable thing, and kids were trading like porn, like images and
God
videos and whatever. Because
damn.
you can like do this and like transfer, like if you were like in front of people. So there were a lot of kids, a lot of guys, boys were like doing.
So people would print out like I don't know. The car just turned. Like, hold on, I'm.
What?
A car just started up and it was kind of loud.
Yeah.
But this is again clearly we have different, the slight some difference in age. But there were people that were printing out like porn or so it wasn't just even like borrowing it from like an older relative, brother or cousin or whatever. But like every now and then someone would show up with like printed paper of like early internet access of just like look at this picture type of stuff. So clearly, like you having PSP or whatever, it's just a completely other way. You know, I just think that's funny that you guys were like, yeah, PSP, you could share those kind of pictures and porn and whatever, and it's like the most people would be like, I printed this out, and everyone would be like, I think you're out of magenta color because that titty looks kind of weird.
Oh my gosh.
Or you'd have pictures that are like Steve, where it's just like red, and it's like, what's going on? Well, what's up with the other colors? Like, where's the rest of the?
The ink was running out of blue and yellow.
Yeah, yeah. Have you checked your tone? Where it's like dashes and stuff like that. So, uh, yeah. And JP, just like, so you were saying 03 or 04, like I moved to the US in 03, so that just kind of also, just as a social aspect of it, there's definitely that cultural difference. And I think similar with PR, even though it's part of the United States of America, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure there's a difference of island and continental US for sure.
For sure.
Huge difference.
Yeah. What'd you say, Steve?
Huge difference.
Huge difference.
Huge.
The pool parties are like so different. You just go to the ocean, I imagine, right?
Oh, bro, what? Bro, here we had Marquesina parties.
The
That
what? To the who?
Marquesina parties.
What is Marquesina?
Party de Marquesina. Basically, it's a garage. Like someone has a garage. They will
Yeah.
blast reggaeton music. They will put like lights like you're in a disco. And kids will be grinding reggaeton with each other, bro.
So and from what I tell, you guys were grinding to "Dame más gasolina."
Oh my gosh.
We're grinding from reggaeton way before that one.
Oh, way before that one.
I'm pretty sure that song was definitely used in our like junior high proms. Yeah, my junior high had proms. It was
That
stupid.
song was a bigger hit in the States and other places than in Puerto Rico.
I didn't know about it until I got invited. Some Argentinians were having a birthday party, and they had it at the one Mexican restaurant in our tiny town. And then they were bringing up gasolina, and I'm like, what? Like la canción gasolina. I was like, no, I don't know gasolina, like what you put in the car. And it's like, yeah. It's like, how? Why is that a song? Like, why does anyone have a song about gasolina?
There was a
then-
shortage. Prices were going high.
Yeah, they're high right now.
That song is so popular that they even made a drink
Oh yeah, what's the drink?
called gasolina. It's basically a Capri Sun, but it already has alcohol in it.
Wait, what?
God
They
damn.
only sell it in PR.
I was gonna say, it
It's,
sounds like
it's already
something
like a
like
mixed drink. I thought if I go to the bar and I'm like, dame una gasolina.
Well, in PR you can do that. I don't know about it over there.
oh my gosh.
It makes sense though. Do you have a drink called gasolina? I mean,
Oh,
so there's Cuba Libre. Is there a Puerto Rico Libre drink? Is that a thing?
No, because Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Are they though? You get the same rights as the rest of the United States?
Yeah, I'm a citizen, bro.
Is that all that matters? You know, when I see Dino's sidebar, I think of it being like an ice cream bar or a sandwich ice cream bar, and I'm dying for one of those right now.
I
By the
I
way,
can't.
I look at myself and I look really stoned, not stoned, but that's also been the issue. Everyone always thinks that I'm stoned, but my eyes just don't open all the way, and I'm like, the camera level right now is at that level. I am
Who
drinking
has said
soda,
that?
but not.
I read every comment and no one has said that.
No one has said that. I'm saying in real life. In real life, people are like, "Are you high?"
Goodness gracious.
Especially when I was in Chicago, people are always like,
So eighth grade.
"Yeah,
Man, dudes. Oh, I don't know, man. Like we basically kind of. I mean, sure, we went on a tangent, but I think that's why the movie is so relatable. Is like we've all been through that in like childhood and whatnot, and it's just so fucking real. I guess one last question before we get into like final thoughts. Like we might be treading water again, or we might end up restating stuff that we talked about earlier. But like, what scene to you was like the most real, or like one of those like moments where it's like damn type of moments for you guys?
I'll go first. I would say the scene that she's sitting with her dad and they're burning her hopes and dreams, uh, because is is a very tough scene and very intense scene in the sense of like she just goes like, yo, like how come you can be sad and all this stuff? And meanwhile, she's been bullying him throughout the whole movie. Like, if you really like think about it, like before this scene, like way before this scene, she's like on her phone talking about what she's gonna do to the guy or whatever, and she's like, don't look at me like that, all sad and weird, and like all this stuff. And he's like, I'm like, yo, poor guy, man, like poor dude. Like I feel bad for him. But at the same time, she's like, "Oh, don't you feel sad like having a daughter like me and stuff like that?" And meanwhile, he just manages to like turn it around and be like, "You know what? You're special. You're awesome. You do everything. I haven't done shit. All I did was watch you." And like that scene to me was very intense and great. And I'm happy she, by the end of the movie, aspired more for her life than just a stupid boyfriend, because that's not all in life, and that's literally all she wanted, I guess, in her hopes and dreams in the beginning. But yeah.
For sure.
um, for it being the most real, I'm not. I don't know if there's a scene like that's good. Also, just her being able to think like if I were a mom and I had me as a kid, like that's some heavy shit for like an eighth grader to say. Of just like
Yeah.
I would think I'd be a failure, kind of like if I if I had a kid. But I would say what got me as more real is the moments kind of like when she's about to get into the house for the pool party or in the bathroom and like about to get changed into the swimming trunks and just kind of that like hesitation or the times where you could kind of hear a little bit of a soundtrack going like in the tempo because it brings up that anxiety. And I'm not saying that I had that anxiety when I was going to like pool parties or whatever, but I could relate in other moments when anxiety does kind of kick in. And it is that idea that like in your body it feels like that music just kind of crescendos and it basically has to get to a moment where you're like, okay, let me block out the music or the let me just take a moment and I'm going to open the door and walk into the situation. So those moments I felt real real when they were able to like put that music full crescendo, and and you could feel the tension, and then like cut all music and her kind of like doing her thing. I thought those were very well done. Like I could feel that moment for sure.
That is awesome, you guys. For me, I think the reason why I'm gonna talk about a scene that we already talked about earlier. For me, like it was almost a nice relief when when she does decide to have a little dinner date with Gabe at his place, and just a silly idea of like you have these nice plates, and like on the plates is just fucking fast food, and he's a dork. He brought all the sauce packets just to find out like, oh well, whatever one is you like, because I don't know what you like. Like I couldn't help but think back to like having lunches and stuff like that with my friends like in early high school, because in junior high I had almost little to no friends. So like once I got to high school, I started actually getting friends, and like we had silly fucking play dates like that. Whereas like when you think back, I was like, ah, that's so super cringe. It's so dorky. But the thing is like, but it's genuine and it's nice because she's finally realizing that she doesn't have to be the person that everyone is expected to be. You don't have to be a fucking dick. You don't have to try to be popular or whatever, or try to put on this facade online and try to live up to that. It's like, nah, just be you, and be you with people who are more than comfortable and more than okay with that. And it was such a nice way to kind of end the movie, and then have her have the final vlog, well, not the vlog, but the what was it called, the time capsule, right? Like it was just that one thing, because I couldn't help but think back to my friendships, because a lot of the bad stuff that I went through, I've kind of blocked it out, and so how like reliving it through the film was fucking traumatic. And then for the film to end on a much more positive, much more like hopeful note, I started to remember back like, well, sure, I also went through a lot of bullshit, but through the bullshit, I grew and I found true happiness and real friends. And I'm just that scene, such a torquey ass scene, like that was for me like damn, that was good. All right, so I guess that almost wraps it up for today. We're gonna go into our final thoughts. Okay, I'll pass the ball on to Diz. What did you think? What's your final thought?
My final thought: this movie is incredible. I'm actually like JP. For some reason, I dreaded watching this movie, but I knew it was like one of those movies. It was in my radar that it's like at some point I did want to watch it, and I was actually gonna put it at one of my options whenever it's my turn again. So I'm glad I got to watch it this time. Definitely a film that's worth watching with, if you have a significant someone, uh, or regardless, just the opposite gender, just so you get kind of more perspective on the film, the nuances, and maybe different things that you might not necessarily get from it. But it's a great film overall, even for people that want to study film, whether it's film writing or cinematography. Is also a great film for that, because it's shot very different. This movie is a huge left turn from the majority of mainstream movies, especially within around that decade. Because this is a 2018 film, kind of can go back to 2008 all the way to 2018, and there's not that many movies that have the depth and substance that this movie has. So I would definitely recommend it to many people. And that's my final thought.
Let's go to Dino. Cut to him.
So, I did enjoy the movie. I think this is up there with like coming of age movies. If you think about it, and I kind of agree with Steve of there not being these many movies or other movies that deals with that kind of age range that does it justice, right? I mean, you can I don't know, you can maybe say American Pie or all the, well, that's high school anyway, but they're more along that line, right? Of more slapstick comedy or just like, especially from like a female perspective, which again, it would be nice to have some women uh, commenting on that, right? Because usually you just see coming of age for boys that are always trying to get laid. But I put this movie up there with kids, which is a really dark. Like kids is way darker than this. Like, but it deals with high school and middle schoolers as well. Um, but it is the different time period. That one's like early '90s. This is so and it's up there with coming of age movies, especially dealing with like middle school and high school for sure. That I would put as a, just like you can put that up there with those movies for of just how it touches that time period. Like this, no joke, no pun, no whatever. This is a time capsule. This is, I think, as close as you can get with like a movie being a time capsule of just what we've already talked, the conversations they have. You know what it reminds me of? This maybe a little sidebar. That AT&T commercials that they had when it's like a 7-year-old talking to his like 3-year-old or 4-year-old brother and like drinking the milk box or something like that, and it's like, back in my day, RTV had to be stationary. We weren't able to get TV that you could just roll outside because it was like before the Wi-Fi TVs and apps or whatever. And it just got and it remind their whole conversation in the mall of them talking about your sister who's 4 years older and then this girl who's 4 years younger. Just talking about how 4 years is such a big difference, and like with certain things that deal with technology, it definitely is, right? The idea that their kids, I know people that lie of their age so that they, or knew of people that lied of their age to be able to start a Facebook account. I don't know what the age is or whatever, but I know it's a certain, you either need to have your parents' permission. I don't know how that's done, or you just got to full on lie about your age to open some of those social media accounts. So this is a time capsule of a very specific moment in time in the U.S., specifically U.S. Hopefully 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they're like, what were they doing with that, active shoot? Like, what's that? Why was there a teacher with a gun pretending to shoot people? Hopefully, we can get to that point in time in the US where, it's like, that's weird. What's that about? And then someone has to be like, well, back in the day, anyone could get their hands on guns, and there were people that would go in and shoot up schools because that was a thing. It's a great movie. I recommend it.
Oh, show. So without going too much into repeating and stuff, like yeah, like I was afraid to watch this movie, and Michaela was shocked that I picked this movie because she knows how much I just hate those types of films. But I think mostly because like those like other films didn't represent in the way that I felt was genuine or real, or into most of them I've seen. Most of them is just negative spite and just absolute trash. Like you see kids as absolutely horrible little monsters that they are, but this film treats them as the people as as they really are. It's whatever. But No, like it's such an interesting film, and like there's no other film that could even really compare this one to. So for me, it's a very new and different experience. And you heard from all of us, like it's a pretty damn good movie, and most of us are familiar with Bo's work, and this is definitely somewhere like somewhere out there. Sure, you can kind of hear it in the music and some of the writing. It's very much his work, but it's a piece of its own. I would definitely recommend it too. Like basically, like everyone, especially the misfits, who can appreciate this film and like hopefully be reminded, like yes, like we did have to go through all that to grow, and it was for the better, and hopefully they're better for it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this to everybody that I know, and hope to catch you later, Gucci. But before we head out, Steve, what do you have for next week?
For next week, so
Are they not here?
technically, the people that were supposed to be here didn't come. So,
We're gonna
and
watch kids.
since Dino already picked one already for the category of moving ending with 8, I'm gonna go ahead and pick one. So I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want you guys. So here's how we're gonna do it, because there's not a lot of people here. So we're gonna do it voting. So what I'm gonna do is, if you guys pick different movies, then I'll lean into the one that I wanna see the most based on
Okay.
what you guys pick. So we're gonna hop on a time machine, and we're gonna go back to 2008, and we can pick either The Dark Knight from 2008. We can go on that time machine again and go 10 years back to 1998 and see Pleasantville. Or we can hop on that time machine yet again and go to 1988 and watch Beetlejuice. So you
Oh
guys
my
get to
god.
choose. Number one, 2008, The Dark Knight. 1998, número dos, Pleasantville. Or 1988, número tres, Beetlejuice.
Interesting.
Get your numbers ready, ladies and gentlemen.
It's
Get
crazy. Never mind. I'll say it if it wins or not.
Okay. Get your numbers ready. Number
Quick
uno.
question. Quick question.
Okay.
Steve, have you seen all of them, or have you?
I seen all three.
Oh, you've seen all three. Okay. Don't
Yeah.
tell me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
All right,
I
I
seen
got my
all.
number.
Okay. All three. I've seen it in the past. At some point in my life. So, número uno, número dos, número tres. Drum roll, please, and reveal.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay,
interesting.
so interesting. So Dark Knight is officially gone. JP picked Pleasantville, and Dino picked Beetlejuice. Huh.
Are we giving wise or?
Let's give wise, because now I'm in a conundrum.
Yeah,
all right.
JP,
I'll
give
I'll
your.
I'll give you why, because I was gonna say it before. I have seen all three films. Pleasantville is the one that I've probably seen the least. I may have seen it only once or twice. I don't remember it that well. And that was the one that I did not want to see. So I figure it's like, why not revisit it? Because for me, it'd be a new experience. So that's why I chose Pleasantville.
Okay, so I have also seen all three, and I would probably say Pleasantville is the one that I've seen the least. Uh, I might have only seen it once, maybe twice, but I picked Beetlejuice because it's Beetlejuice. It's been a while since I've picked it. Uh, I'm kind of a little bit in a Michael Keaton kick, even though it's not like I've been watching Michael Keaton. But I did watch some of his old stand up because he was stand up. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'd like to see some of his old, as well as Tim Burton old stuff, because I forget Tim Burton is directing a new movie that I'm like, I wonder if that's going to be good, because he's kind of been so hit and miss. So I just kind of want to go back to that time of Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Beetlejuice.
So I'm gonna give you my reasoning. So the reason why I am going to pick the movie that I'm going to pick is based on what you guys just said, and based on the movie we just watched. I think we've watched too many. Well, it doesn't make any sense then. What I'm
No,
about
but give it. Yeah, I know, right? Now you kind of know how it feels like Dino talking. I'm done. I'm like, that made no sense.
I was literally about to say there's too many white people in this movie, but at the same time, it's like the same amount of white people in both movies. So, uh, regardless, I'm gonna go with Beetlejuice, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
Yeah.
So
Beetlejuice.
yeah, it's more fun, more enjoyable. Pleasantville is great. I would love to review it, but I don't know. From eighth grade to then go to Pleasantville is just too much vanilla. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, so, and I will say, when it was Batman or Pleasantville, I was going to pick Pleasantville just because I was like, I
Yeah.
wonder how the CGI and shit.
So I thought one was gonna pick Beetlejuice and then one Dark Knight.
No, I've just seen it. I've seen that one slightly recently enough to where I'm just like, I don't need to watch it again.
Yeah, if I were to pick like a movie that I wanted to watch, it would be Dark Knight. But same with I've seen that film so many times. Maybe another day. Maybe.
Hey, maybe another day. But for just JP, El Dondino, and Steve Des TV, we'll catch you next week. Bye bye.
Hey, I'm JP Serno. Thank you for watching Oye Dimelo Network. Please click here for additional videos and don't forget to subscribe. That's our new theme song.